Stranded, snuff films, hidden cameras. This motel's not just creepy, it's deadly. You won't believe what happens next. Today I'll recap a 2007 horror mystery film, Vacancy. So keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. The movie starts. A husband and wife, David and Amy Fox, were driving home after a family get-together. Things weren't exactly smooth sailing between them. They were pretty close to splitting up. Their trip took a detour when a big pileup on the highway forced them onto a quiet, out-of-the-way mountain road. Suddenly, their car started making some unsettling noises, so they pulled into a rundown auto repair shop. A mechanic gave their car a quick fix, but mentioned he was just about to close up for the night. They didn't get very far before their car conked out again. Stranded and with zero cell service, they trudged back to the repair shop, only to find it completely deserted. With no other options, they decided to walk to a motel they'd seen a little ways back. When they got to the motel's front office, they heard a loud, scary scream coming from one of the rooms in the back. It turned out the scream was coming from the TV. The motel manager, a guy named Mason, quickly turned it off and greeted the couple. He explained that the auto repair shop across the street wouldn't be open until morning. With no other choice, David and Amy booked a room for the night. As David and Amy were getting ready for bed, they heard a bunch of loud banging noises, not just on their own door, but on the door to the room next door too. It was pretty startling. David decided to go down to the front desk to tell Mason, the motel manager, about all the commotion. Mason told him something surprising. They were the only guests staying at the motel that night. That was a little creepy. Back in their room, David decided to check out a videotape that was already in the room's VCR. At first, it seemed like just a regular scary movie. But as they kept watching, they realized something truly awful. It was a snuff film, which means it showed real people being hurt and killed. Even worse, they figured out that the movie was filmed right there, in their very own room. David started searching the room and discovered hidden security cameras all over the place. That's when it hit them. Mason was watching them the whole time. The disturbing video showed what had happened to other people who had stayed in the room before. 2 men would attack the guests, and then those same men would murder them. It was a terrifying discovery. Freaked out and desperate to escape, David and Amy bolted from their room and ran into the woods. But their escape plan quickly went south. 2 guys wearing masks suddenly appeared, blocking their way. With nowhere else to go, they scrambled back to their room and locked the door behind them. Inside the bathroom, they made another chilling discovery. There, on the counter, was the half-eaten apple Amy had left in their car. How did it get there? It was like something out of a nightmare. David decided to try calling for help. He dashed to the motel's payphone and dialed 911. But instead of a 911 operator, Mason, the creepy motel manager, answered the phone. David barely managed to jump out of the phone booth before the 2 masked men crashed their car right into it, smashing it to pieces. They chased David back to the room, making the whole situation even more terrifying. A few minutes later, David and Amy heard a truck pull into the parking lot. Peeking out the window, they tried to get the driver's attention, hoping he could help them. But their hopes were crushed when they realized the truck driver was also working with Mason. It seemed like everyone was against them. Then, they stumbled upon a hidden trapdoor in the bathroom floor. It led to a network of tunnels that connected to different rooms in the motel. They crawled through the tunnels and ended up in Mason's own room. Amy quickly tried to call the police, but before she could finish, Mason burst into the room, stopping her. They were trapped. With the masked men hot on their heels, David and Amy scrambled back into the tunnels. They took a different route this time, hoping to lose their pursuers. Their twisting journey through the dark passageways eventually led them to the auto garage across the street from the motel. Just then, a sheriff arrived at the motel. He had come because of the interrupted phone call Amy had tried to make. He started searching the rooms, and to his horror, he saw one of the awful snuff films playing on a TV. He knew something was terribly wrong and quickly tried to leave. David and Amy saw him and ran to him, hoping he could help them escape. They all piled into the police car, ready to drive away. But they were met with another problem. Someone had cut the engine wire. The car wouldn't start. As the officer got out to check the damage, the masked men attacked and killed him. David and Amy, more terrified than ever, ran into one of the other motel rooms. David quickly came up with a plan. He helped Amy climb up into the ceiling, where she could hide safely. He told her he was going to try to get to Mason's office to find a gun, hoping it would give them a chance to defend themselves. But as soon as David left the room, the masked men were there. They stabbed him, and he fell to the ground. Amy, hidden in the ceiling, watched in horror as David collapsed. When morning finally arrived, Amy carefully climbed down from her hiding place in the ceiling. She cautiously left the room, her heart pounding with fear. Outside, she spotted one of the killer's cars. It was her chance. She jumped in and tried to start the engine. Just as she was about to pull away, one of the masked men suddenly burst into the car through the sunroof. It was a terrifying surprise. In the chaos, Amy lost control of the car and crashed it right into the side of the motel. The crash was so violent that it killed the masked man who had jumped into the car. The crash also revealed the identity of the other masked man. It was the same mechanic who had helped them with their car earlier. It turned out he was part of this whole awful scheme. Shaken but determined, Amy ran into the motel's reception area. She desperately searched for the gun David had tried to find. Finally, she spotted it. Just as she grabbed the revolver, Mason appeared. He lunged at her and began strangling her with the telephone cord. He then started hitting her while recording the whole struggle with his video camera. It was a horrifying scene. But Amy refused to give up. She fought back with all her might, managing to break free from Mason's grip. She finally got the upper hand, aimed the revolver, and shot Mason dead. It was finally over. Amy, her heart heavy with worry, rushed back to where David had fallen. To her immense relief, she discovered he was still alive. He was badly hurt, but he was breathing. A wave of hope washed over her. She knew she had to get help. She hurried back to the reception area. Remembering the phone cord Mason had used to attack her, she checked his jacket pockets. There it was. She grabbed the cord and quickly plugged it into the phone. Finally, she was able to dial 911. She explained what had happened, her voice trembling as she recounted the horrific events. She told them they desperately needed help. With the call made, Amy raced back to David's side. She knelt beside him, gently taking his hand. She spoke to him softly, trying to comfort him and reassure him that help was on its way. They waited together, clinging to the hope that the police would arrive soon and that the nightmare would finally be over. So, which awesome movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below and let's make it happen. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on our movie recaps. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Produced by Warner Movie Recaps.